So finally, I have almost completed another sketch page, which has been a while because I've been busy with other things and busy with the book and things, and I've been a bit short of time this year, so I haven't done anything like as much work in my sketchbook as I would like to do. But this one is Verbascum. It's a plant that I picked up a seed head at the bottom of the road that had fallen over and took it home and stuck it on the top of a plant pot, and then had so many plants developing. So I planted a few of them in a box, actually, in like a raised bed box, and they grow anywhere. They're beautiful. They have these huge silvery leaves and these big tall flower spikes. And I started it on the 29th of July and thought I'd run out of time to do it because it stopped flowering. But then all of a sudden it starts to produce new little flower buds in the flower spike, and off it goes again. And even when it gets to the seed stage, even when it's at this stage, it will still pop out the odd flower here and there in the leaf axils and in the main flower spike as well. So it's quite an obliging plant it's been for me. So it flowered again in August on the 14th, and it just flowered again on this spike that I thought was well finished in November the 6th, and it's still got a few flowers on it now, which is crazy. We're in the middle of November. It's huge. This one is only about 1 metre tall, but it can get much larger than that. And the one at the bottom of the road was incredible, when the one that I picked the seed head up from. So I did, the arrangement was the seed head, the flower spike, and a dissection of the flower. These lovely little stamens that have got hairs on them. Some of them have got hairs and others haven't. A front-facing view of the flower, and of course the big leaf that is very woolly looking. It's got these star-shaped hairs that give it this blue grey appearance, and it's almost like felt. And if you take them off the plant and they start to dry out, it really is like a felt fabric. So I decided to do a front view, which I still haven't finished, and I decided to do a rear view of it. And it was quite, I thought, oh, that's quite a lot of work to do, really. But what I tend to do with this effect, and this is the purpose of the video really, was to talk about the technique that I use for something like that. I'm going to use a mechanical pencil, if I can get one that's working. It actually just gives me time to talk about this little desk easel that I purchased, this little wooden desk easel, which is just a little bit smaller than my sketchbook, and it's got, I'll just ease down that, it's got a drawer underneath it, which is great because I always drop all the pencils and everything, so I can keep extra stuff in there while I'm working. So that's really brilliant, and it didn't cost very much either, so I've added it to my collection of easels that I've got. So the effect that I'm going to use on this is a scumbling one, and you can use a wooden pencil or a mechanical pencil or whatever, it doesn't matter. And so it's a scumbling effect. So you don't want any hard lines in this leaf because it's got this fuzzy effect. And the back of the leaf, which is what this is even more fuzzy than the front of the leaf. Woolly. So I use a scumbling effect like this, and if I was to slow it down, it's kind of like a big figure 8 and just random motions of the pencil. And what that will give you is this soft edge, and it's great for that kind of area. So the light's coming from over there, so I can't work on this side because I'll be in the light, but you're going to have more shadow underneath those veins, and those veins are standing out quite significantly on the surface. So there's going to be quite a shadow underneath them that makes them stand out. But when you're working into the midrib and you're working into the veins, you need to have this rough edge working into them with a rough edge. Otherwise they're going to be outlined and hard, and that's not what you want. This side a little darker under the veins, you see, working with that scumbling effect. And scumbling is an effect I use as a dry brush technique as well. It's one of my dry brush techniques, and I would have used that on the leaves here as well, and I'll use it some more to finish them off. So a lot of my drawing techniques are similar to my painting techniques. So when I do continuous tone or hatching, fine hatching lines. It's actually much the same as how I paint. I paint very dry with the tip of my brush, and for this I draw the tip of my pencil in the same way, and that's how you kind of model the colour across the surface and create texture. And I find that if you use too much water when you're painting, you will not get the intensity of colour or the texture that you need for a lot of botanical subjects, because the water is your enemy in many cases when you're doing botanicals. The water causes the paint to sink deep into the surface, and with that it diffuses. So if you ever painted something, you put the colour on and it looks all beautiful and bright and it's wet, and then it dries and you look at it, you come back to it and it's all dull. And the reason for that is generally because there's too much water involved and it's sinking deep into your paper, which means it's diffusing. The colour's diffusing into the surface. So master your graphite techniques is the tip of the day, really, because if you master your graphite techniques, you will find painting botanicals, if you want to use that dry brush technique, much easier. So you can see how this kind of just fills in. You can put, in fact, the edge here where I've got a line, I'm just going to lift some of that off with a putty eraser, and if you make the edge the same, a bit of a fuzzy line going round and round in little circles, you'll start to create that fuzzy leaf effect. And the shadow on this side, I can't work on that side because I'll be in the light, but that's the idea. So that was the point of the video, really, was to use, it was about techniques. Techniques in graphite for me are very similar to techniques in watercolour. And I'm going to go over and over this until I get the finish that I want to. So I can work over the whole thing and get it to this stage, and then I'll go over it again, and then when you go over it, that really smooths out or gets you the texture that you want as you build up more, and you can build up more veins into it and get that relief feel to the veins by working over. So the first layer like that will probably take about 40 minutes or so, and then work over it again. And I'll post a picture on my social media channels of the finished sketchbook page soon, and maybe show it in the next video as well, when I'm going to talk more about different techniques. So I'm starting with a simple graphite technique, scumble it's called. I call it scumble because that's what it is. It's like scumbling pencil on or scumbling paint on in the same way. So I hope you find that useful, and I'll be back online with another sketchbook page and more techniques again in the not too distant future.